Okay, so we're going to be talking about the speaking part 2, which we sometimes call the individual long term. So remember, this topic is part 2, and this is about you. In part 1, we were just talking about information about yourself, everyday conversations that you might have just to maybe discuss everyday topics, which we discussed before. Now this is more of a chance for you to talk by yourself, as the examiner won't interrupt you. He will sit there and listen for the 1 to 2 minutes that you speak. So, the first thing that's going to happen is he's going to give you a paper to make notes on, which you will have 1 minute to do this. Now, to save a little bit of time, I pretended that I had no paper. Remember, you will not talk and you will not write on the test booklet. But what you'll do is you'll have a separate piece of paper to make notes. And here I've already included it. So if we look at this question, the examiner wants you to describe the member of your family who is most successful. So in this case, most of my students talk about their mom or their dad, maybe some uncle, maybe their grandfather. Again, someone that you look up to or someone in your family that you feel is most successful. So in this case, for today, I wanted to talk about my father, okay? And so it's who this person is. So I just put down one word, my father. How often you see each other. Now, if you live with your parents, you probably see them every day. Maybe your grandparents, maybe you will see them maybe once a week, maybe once a month. You have to think about who that person is and how often you see them. For this case, once a month or maybe every day. What this person does, I put down a couple of ideas. He's a businessman. Maybe more specifically, he's an engineer. Or maybe he's an architect. You have to think about the job that your father or mother or whoever your person is does. The next thing, explain why he or she is successful. So maybe your person that you discuss started as a regular worker and worked his way up. In other words, he received several promotions and raises, some key vocabulary here, and he was promoted, okay? In other words, he went up in his position in the company. Maybe he's the president of the company now. Maybe he's the director. Maybe he's CEO, okay? A chief executive officer, okay? So, here's some key vocabulary: valuable experience, management, training, goals, promotions, which I talked about, bonuses. This could be in the form of money. This could be in the form of a vacation, maybe holidays, things like that. Raises, which again is about the money. And look up to. Maybe you look up to your dad. Maybe you want to be like your dad. So something that we would say was look up to. So I'll give you an example of how you could answer this question. So here we go. So today you asked me to describe a member of my family who is most successful. When I heard this topic, the first thing that I thought of was my father. My dad is very successful now, but when I was younger, he wasn't as successful. My dad worked in his company for a long time, and he was very young. And so he started out as a regular worker. But over the time, he became very successful through promotions and raises. Now my dad is the president of sales for his company. So he's been very successful. And I'm very proud of him, and I hope one day I can be as successful as my dad. So now that I'm married and have my own family, I only see my dad maybe once a month, or we talk to each other maybe once a week on the telephone. So my dad, like I said before, my dad started as a worker. Now he's president of sales in his company. So he's been very successful. And why I think he's so successful is, you know, I think my dad gained some valuable experience over the years, was promoted to a manager, then he became more of a training manager, and then, so my dad had set many goals for himself to achieve in the future. So that's why I think my dad is the most successful person in my family. Okay, thank you.